Hey, it's Josh, and you're listening to The Other Show, a Rebel One podcast.
Okay, I need your opinions. Kent as a father of older daughters and Josh as a father of two cats. Stephanie and I were having this conversation about Easter baskets.
Okay.
What do you put in your children's Easter baskets?
Oh, good question. And this one's tough just in case we have any younger listeners.
Ooh.
When I collaborate with the Easter Bunny
Yeah.
and we work together, we join forces, if you will. If it were just up to me, I wouldn't put anything in there. I would just put tinsel because I'm more of a Passover fan than an Easter fan.
By the way, happy Passover.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I was gonna say so you put some ham in there, but then I realized that's the opposite of Passover.
No.
Yeah, no, but we
No.
also have ham because we're like Jack Jews. Anyways, Jack Jews is a thing, everybody. So
I'm a JJ.
I don't like that. I would just put tinsel in there, and then the Easter Bunny would hide all the eggs and candy and stuff. Granted,
Kenny.
in my collaboration, there's been books, there's been toys, there's been LOL dolls,
Okay.
and it's just not how I was raised or the Easter Bunny treated me. So, what about you, Josh?
Yeah, I have a very complicated relationship with the Easter Bunny.
I'm afraid of rabbits as well. Sure.
See that?
First off, when I was about 3 years old, the Easter Bunny brought me some underoos for Easter.
Not Dunkaroos, but underoos.
No, so this was when I was a Sunbeam, so 3-4 years old or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So everybody in the Sunbeams, all the girls got these beautiful dresses and Easter bonnets, and the guys got these suits and everything. And
Wait,
and
people got suits and bonnets?
I got underoos,
I
right?
thought you were born in the 80s,
So-
not the 1880s.
No. The 80s were a thing, man. JCPenney, everybody shopped at the JCPenney.
Oh, JCPenney just down the street. I know.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I got these underoos for Easter, and halfway through primary in church, the primary teacher found my mom in Relief Society and beckoned her to come to the class. And my mom comes to the door, she opens it, and she finds all of these little girls in their Easter bonnets and the guys in their suits and looking so pretty. And then there is me sitting there in just my underoos. And so she's trying to figure out, Josh, why are you in your underoos? Because I wanted to show everybody else what I got for
Hold on.
Easter.
So she brought you to church in
Uh-huh.
like a shirt and tie, right?
Oh yeah, I stripped. I
You stripped
completely
down.
stripped in sunbeams.
You got that new dress? Look what I got. It's got mask on it. You know?
Yeah,
If you'd been 10 years older, Josh, you would have been put on a list.
I know.
That's hilarious, actually.
Yeah. So my mom learned, do not ever give a
Wait.
kid underoos unless you're giving them a dress or a suit. So-
Wait, so to answer your
I mean, the Easter Bunny. I should say the Easter Bunny.
to answer your very specific question, Spencer, is
No underoos.
underoos. Yeah.
Yes. I
Well-
feel like that is the right answer.
So what does the
The
Easter
reason-
Bunny say for you? Because I feel like you'd be a little more basic, right?
Yeah, no, I was going to say this wasn't a point of contention between Stephanie and I.
Okay.
This was a legit conversation we had about what does the Easter Bunny give? Because growing up for me, it was candy. That's it.
Yeah. Right.
Boiled eggs and candy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was usually the antacids that they'd hide and reuse the eggs year over year because that's what my family did.
Hey, they're candy. Adult candy.
I've discovered the beauty of Tums, and honestly, they work great.
Oh,
Okay.
Mhm.
they stay by my bed. But the only toys we got to even call them toys were like my grandma would do Easter baskets. My grandma Oakley, my grandma Myers, I'm pretty sure I've never gotten a gift from her except for used socks.
Mhm.
Anyway, that's the story for another time. But my grandma would put like those wind up chicks, like the 50-cent toys.
Oh,
Probably when we were growing up, they were like a nickel.
Oh yeah.
But that's it. So
Mhm.
Stephanie was asking me like, what do we put in Hazel's? And she gave me this list of like books, kinetic sand, dolls, stroller.
Yep.
And I was like, like if anything, 2 things and then some eggs.
Times have changed. Kids' needs are much higher than when I was a kid, and I feel like with mine, I've always found their Easter Bunny made Easter baskets, and they are filled with stuff, and then you have to dump it out to do the Easter hunt. And that to me is a little aggravating. So I'm like, that's 2 baskets full. And then I just get jealous. It's kind of like, when I grew up and I would
Yeah.
see kids get like Ninja Turtles in their Easter basket. And I'm like, my bunny
Uh,
hates me. My bunny thinks I suck.
I never got that in mine.
Yeah, of course. Well, you didn't, because you and I were the same. So
I got underoos.
yeah, I got tinsel,
I don't remember anything other than candy.
Yeah, just candy. Kids get money nowadays.
what?
Sometimes we actually would get money. Like we'd get maybe a $5 bill or whatever.
That's pretty sweet.
Your bunny was loaded. We got coins, and you
And they were chocolate coins.
no,
Pennies stuck
they
together.
were like quarters,
Okay.
like a roll of quarters in the egg, and you could throw them at your cousins.
Or go play arcades. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But have you ever sat down and like read about the legend of the Easter Bunny? The Easter Bunny is probably the creepiest like holiday thing out there. Traditionally, the Easter Bunny poops jelly beans. Did you know that?
Delicious.
Like, yeah, the Easter Bunny comes, poops jelly beans, hides your eggs.
Yeah.
Like, how have we not gotten sick?
Also, normally when I think about the resurrection of Jesus, I think about a jelly bean pooping Easter bunny. So
You are Jewish, Kent.
yeah, see, my logic is a little twisted. It's fine. That's why I do Passover, okay? And I eat really bitter food for 3 hours, and it's the worst.
I just need to get your opinion on it because, like, I know when I was growing up, it wasn't until my teens, and I think you're kind of at that point, Kent, where as a teenager,
I'm about a teenager, maturity-wise. Sure, yeah.
No. Your daughters.
I know.
Start getting things. I didn't get like CDs or anything of value to the point where my parents like, yeah, we can't just do candy anymore.
Yeah,
So you get a church CD and
right.
a T-shirt.
I'm going to keep it religious for a little bit. Can I tell you, and Josh, I don't know if you ever experienced this or anyone who's had a legit Passover. But we used to do this, and I think I was probably maybe 13 or 14 at this time. My mom would make that Passover dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'd set a plate out for all of us, and we'd eat it. And it wasn't my favorite food, but it was fine.
Okay.
And we'd just be eating dinner. And she would set out an extra, and this is in tradition.
Yeah.
She would set an extra plate of food out. And now I can look back and realize what was going on. At the time when I was a punk, let's say 14 years old, I'm like, who's that plate for? Who's that extra food for? We only have this many people in our family. And she's like, oh, that's for Elijah. And I'm like, what? And she would go and open the front door. And the tradition is you're meant to leave food, like have food ready, so that if you look out and there's someone walking by, you invite them in. Then that's inviting the spirit of Elijah or Elijah himself to come and enjoy a meal with you.
Out of context, that's really creepy. Hey, we're gonna invite a strange man into our house to eat our food.
It's how Elizabeth Smart happens.
That's it's a bearded man outside.
I'm just saying.
That's too soon. 23 years later, I don't know. I think that's too soon. But so I'm 14, and my mom is like, "Oh, Elijah," and maybe this is a prophet or whatever I read about one time, and I'm like, "You're nuts, Mom. This is ridiculous. Close the door. Someone better eat that food. This is creeping me out. Are we gonna have a ghost sit down in that chair and eat the food?" The whole time I kept waiting for a ghost to walk over, pull the chair out, start eating the weird latkes. And it totally was weird to me. And then, of course, I had to have explained like 5 times. And I finally got it. Weird traditions, man.
We did it a couple times. Last time, I think, was about 5 years ago when we did Passover.
Mm-hmm.
I think we ended up just giving the extra meal to Uncle Nick.
That's giving. That's giving, yeah.
I mean,
Uncle Nick, strange old man, comes to your house, somewhat related, fits the bill.
mm-hmm.
Well, Spencer, I hope we cleared that up for you.
Not at all.
That's a good point. We really didn't.
Before we move on, I just want to thank everybody for the reviews. We got some great feedback after last week's episode, and just thank you for everybody who kind of went and flooded our reviews and everything and left a review. So
yeah, and truly,
that was pretty cool.
And to give us some things to think about, some things that we will address over time. Like for example, maybe it's like with the format of this show. Basically, do we just rant? Do we kind of just go off? Kind of. But also, no, right? It's kind of like there is a format, but we're also trying to find that format and smooth it out a little bit. I think the three of us, we get so excited that when we plan the show, we're like, okay, we're going to talk about like these three things, for example, and then let's fit the voicemails in somewhere. But we get so excited to talk to each other that we get a little carried away.
There's like a 30-minute conversation beforehand as we're just planning, and then
Right.
a 30-minute conversation afterwards, or sometimes longer on both of those.
Yes.
Before we even hit the record button.
But there is a method to the madness. But the feedback was great.
Aside from, being a little too off the cuff, what other feedback did we get?
The same old, longer shows, which I understand, but I never believe, truthfully.
You know what, Kent? I have been petitioning for this. I want to give you 5 shows a week, 10 minutes each, for 5 shows a week.
Hold on. You're going to promise the audience. I'm not going to say promise. Let's take that back a little bit. 5 shows a week, but we'll just cut into what we're record once a week?
Yeah. I mean, I will give you 5 shows a week of questionable quality for 10 minutes each.
Wait, there's no way we could do this without people paying us a lot of money. So I don't know.
Hey, I need insurance.
Yeah.
I have insurance. I have insurance.
Clearly, we know I can't do more than 1 or 2. So I don't know.
I mean, you cap out at 2 shows. I turn around and Josh has a new podcast every time I turn around.
Or Instagram account, whichever one.
I swear that's a daily conversation with Josh. I send him a message like every day. Hey, is this account yours? There's one that I keep seeing, and I don't know if this is you. So please tell me right here and now. Resolve this for me, Josh. Those beady Gary Coleman eyes. Is that yours?
Oh, yeah, that's mine. Gary Coleman eyes.
Is it the suspicious eyes?
It's my meme account.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's those Gary Coleman eyes.
Man.
When they see you. Yeah. I'm just saying.
How many, and I know you've probably shut some down, how many accounts do you have on Instagram?
Of mine, like 7. I think I maxed out, but then I do manage a few other accounts for other people, but like my own personal ones.
How many do you actually use or post on? Other than like the other show, like ones like this, it might be like Party in the Back.
I have the cat one and the meme one. I have a fitness one that's been neglected, which is no surprise right now in my life. Yeah, probably about 2 or 3 at a time. Like reasonably.
It's a lot of work.
I compartmentalize a lot of things, so it works out in my brain.
I mean, Kent, but how many do you have?
I've got 1 on each social media channel.
How many burners do you have?
That's if you burners are actually in the news right now, but no comment on that one right now.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, no burners. Yeah.
I mean, Instagram kind of killed the joy of having a burner account when like you can block somebody on Instagram and block everything that they're associated with. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
So
alternate emails.
Yeah. But at least it gets rid of the jealous girlfriends, you know.
That's true.
That's
so many jealous girlfriends. But yeah, getting back to the feedback, like right now, I think we would like to, our alternative for the other show is shorter shows. Our goal has always been under an hour, to the point where Josh has cut 10 seconds of a show just to get underneath that hour.
Yep.
And that may change. We may do some special shows. We may kind of, when we have our legs underneath us, maybe do slightly longer. I always just kind of wonder if people make it to the end of these long shows, because having been a part of longer podcasts like Bacon Cell, all last year we were above an hour and a half, and now our goal is to do about an hour 20, right? And people are like, no, give us more, and I get it, but do they really want more? Do they make it to the end? That's what I want to know.
I mean, it takes me. Usually when I'm listening to Bacon Sale, it takes me about a day and a half.
That's what I'm worried about. I mean, that's fine, but then if you have to catch up on shows, like, why bother at that point,
It's kind of how I am with my comics. I get my comics delivered to my door.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're about a month and a half behind, and then I get just, 30 comics at a time, and then I fall behind, and I never catch up because it's just an insurmountable task.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want, I mean, especially with like Bacon Sale, is I don't want stale bacon sale.
Stale bacon's gross.
Right.
So,
bacon stale.
If anybody wants to blame anything on me, the length of the shows is something that I've kind of put my foot down on, and like, no, guys, 45 minutes to an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And that's because that's the commute length.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a commute length. And I think it kind of promotes and it kind of forces us to be creative and precise to the point.
Yeah.
As well, because the last thing that we want to do is meander through an hour and a half, show. Because we do kind of talk off the cuff, but there's a point where there's too much talking off the cuff to the point of like, this isn't going anywhere.
Josh is being way too nice. The reason I want him short is because I want to be your methamphetamine. I want you to get addicted to us.
A quick hit.
A quick hit, leave you wanting, and then itching and begging for more. I want the skin picking.
They're like, you know what I need? Another podcast with 3 dudes. Give me that. Tap.
Yeah.
Throw that in there. Oh, yeah.
3 white
Oh, that
dudes.
was assumed. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, true.
Did you just assume? No.
Yeah. No, everyone could wisely assume. But yeah, thank you for your feedback. We will take any and all feedback and maybe incorporate it into the show or kind of like bonus episodes or something like that. So it's all stuff we're working on. Send it our way.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in the Facebook group, in the other group, we do have a thread of feedback.
Which I'm still not a part of.
I don't know how you're not, but we do have a thread, like a conversation thread of feedback and suggestions. If you have feedback, if you have suggestions there, by all means, like, let us know.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I do want to get to voicemails because I know we've missed that in the past. But before we do, Josh, I want to give a plug for a very special podcast. It's called Party in the Back.
That's right.
I don't know if people have heard the most recent episode and the episode that will be out anytime now. But there will be 2 episodes from what I know. But the one I want to talk about is the one I heard. It is the one that was released end of March.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember the exact episode name. But it is, we've often been asked to be pretty frank with an experience that we all dealt with. And to remain positive, to remain kind of just jovial on this show. We've kind of blown it off and just been like, yeah, maybe at some point. But the way you and Blue talked about things and not even like your situation, but even his situations in business and partnerships, it really hit me. I've listened to it twice. And it really was.
Wow. You doubled our numbers. Thank you, man.
I do. You're welcome. But and you can speak more about this because I'm coming at this from, hey, I listened and I'm just like, I enjoyed the experience, but it was talking about what narcissism can do, and very very controlling figures can do to you, but also how not to hold on to that, how not to be bitter, but how to move forward. And I freaking loved it. And honestly, there are people waiting. They're like, hey, give me the truth, spill the tea. That's pretty solid. Like, honestly, I would listen to that. That's why I want to give it a plug, because I think it may be mostly unheard right now because you have 2 listens. But no, truly, I think with as honest as you're willing to be without being discouraging, without being overly negative about people, I thought that was extremely solid.
That's been my approach pretty much for the past year.
My personal opinion is that's a perfect platform. Blue is just such a solid dude. He came and talked at my work today, so shout out to him. It had a profound impact on all my coworkers, but he's able to ground it and bring it down to earth. So I've listened a couple times, and you two do an awesome job.
We're quadrupling our numbers. Yes,
we're not trying
big week.
to brush things off on this show, but we also do want to keep things real but light and not be bitter.
Yeah.
We're happy to talk to anybody off the show,
and that's the number one thing. If we're gonna say anything on this show, it is 100%. We're not bitter. We're not bitter. We have let a lot of things go.
Right.
We've come to terms with a lot of things, and we've processed through a lot of things. You know, for me, for instance, a lot of that was meeting with like Blue, and even with a therapist. I have no shame, admitting that.
You know what's so good about an interviewer like Blue is that if it was Spencer or I asking you questions, for example, we would have been purposely trying to rile you up or asking extreme things, right? But Blue, he's so even keel, honestly.
Hey.
And
Josh,
level-headed.
Show me on the mic where you touched you.
Yeah, right. See, Spencer, thank you for proving my point.
Right here on the dongle. Touch me on the dongle.
I don't like the term dongle. Nobody wants that.
I don't either. I
See,
don't
okay.
either.
Spencer, you ruined it.
Stop
Spencer,
with
I
the
think I
dongles.
kept it too serious for too long, and Spencer, you brought it back.
I broke.
But everyone go check it out. And Josh, you mentioned to me that you guys were going to have a part 2 episode, right?
Yes. So there is a part 2 to the episode. Go to Party in the Back. You can listen at partyintheback.com or pretty much anywhere where you listen to podcasts. But yeah, it's just a great conversation that both Blue and I have, and kind of gives you everything I think you need to know and understand about that mentality. Just everything you just said.
Love it.
Okay, so with that, we can't forget about the calls. Do we have any calls?
Yes,
Okay.
we do. We have a few here. Let's load this up and go.
Hey, this is KP. I saw you reference something today about Greg Gregerson and his weird voice. I really, really think that you need to go out and talk to Greg and get him on the show, because I really want to hear the weird voice that Greg Gregerson has. All right?
I'd love to have Greg on the show.
Speaking of multiple accounts, is he a secondary account?
He is my original Facebook.
What?
account
The original
is
SCOG?
Greg Gregerson. Yeah. So
Why?
it was originally Josh Hansen, but then sometime in 2014, I don't know what it was, but I just decided to get a new Facebook account because it was the original one that I had since 2006, and I'm like, okay, I had obviously no idea what what I was doing, so I just created a new one. And then when this whole Greg Gregerson thing happened,
Is this a persona? Refresh my memory.
Yeah. Okay. So what happened, and it's really a stupid kind of story,
Probably.
but I was at work, and it was after hours, and I answered the phone. They were asking for Josh, and I didn't hear that it was my name, and I just said, "Oh no, he left or whatever." And so, but then he's like, well, we're just calling because we need this one invoice paid. And I had been waiting for this person to call with this invoice for a couple of days. I'm like, I need to pay it. And I'm like, well, I can take that payment. And like, well, it needs to be paid by Josh Hansen. And I'm like, well, I have his P card, his purchase card here. I can just pay for it here. And they're like, well, no, we can't. It needs to be verified by the person, by Josh Hansen. And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get him back in the office. And it wasn't necessarily Greg Gregerson's voice. It was fake Josh Hansen.
Yeah,
so basically I pretended that Josh Hansen was coming back because they asked me who my name was, and I couldn't think of a name quick enough. And I just looked down at a piece of paper and I said, Greg, my name's Greg. And like, what's your last name? Gregerson. I'm like, that was stupid.
This is what I picture. The Little Rascals. You got 4 of them in a coat.
Yeah.
Excuse me. 1 ticket for Greg Gregerson, please.
I'm just 3 little rascals. What can I say?
So wait. So I'm picturing you. You're on the phone. Let me go get him because this needs to happen.
Yeah,
You've already kind of screwed yourself over. You do the footsteps.
And I'm like, oh,
this is Josh Hansen.
No, I did kind of this like southern drawl. I'm like, hello, this is Josh. Yeah, I'd like to pay for that. Okay, the number is 40. I was kind of like a white Karl Malone, like
that's your southern voice. Is white
it was
Karl
like
Malone?
a white Karl Malone, like yeah. There's a 4095. So yeah, Josh Hansen. Yep, Hansen. I'm like, I just want to pay this invoice. I don't care.
Yeah, of course.
Went through all of that mainly because I did not want to say, oh yeah, that's me. Like,
sorry, I was trying to avoid telemarketers. That's me.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, that's me. I mean, I could have probably been fine, but of course, social anxiety does that to you.
Sure, but you're quick enough to bring up the southern drawl, which sounds not accurate whatsoever, but it works.
See, I'd be a horrible liar.
And even quicker on that name, Greg.
I know. I was just looking at the paperwork that I had on my desk, and Greg was the first name I saw.
All right.
So,
and they didn't say anything about your parents. Like, your parents named you Greg, and your last name's Gregerson.
Hey, after that, I remember I looked I looked up on Facebook to see how many Greg Gregersons there were.
Oh no.
There are quite a few. I mean, it's the same thing like with John Johnson's. My best friend his name is John Johnson, so
That's more generic than like
it happens.
Wow.
than John Smith or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, anyway, yeah, that's kind of it's it's such a stupid story, but yeah, maybe Greg Gregerson or
honestly, it was all worth it to hear your southern drawl.
my white Karl
We're
Malone.
all benefited, absolutely.
I need to hear that more often in my life.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, what else we got?
Hey, this is Crew. Got a new book recommendation for you. The book is Classic Scrapes by James A. Caster. It's a comedy. It's funny. He's a British comedian. They're stories from his life. Great book. Not totally family friendly due to swears and one of the later chapters. I can warn you if you want to be warned away from it. He also has a comedy special on Netflix called Repertoire, James A. Caster Repertoire. Also very funny. That's what introduced me to him. Anyway, thanks for letting me send out these book recommendations periodically. And you guys are doing great. Thanks. Bye.
Crew Dutler single-handedly keeping my neighborhood book club I lost my train of thought. It just left the station. Platform 9 3/4, stepped right on the rail and got hit.
Is that what happens when you have a little brain fart? Is that what goes on?
Just boom.
Yeah.
We got a jumper.
I think we need to read more books. No, truly, Crew, thanks very much. It's probably more books than I could get through, but I would absolutely take recommendations. And I like my British comedy, even when it's a little edgy. Not gonna lie.
We got a book club going kind of in the Facebook group, so
I can't join the group.
Too bad.
this is like the most Spencer thing to ever Spencer.
I legit feel like I'm 95-year-old, like a 95-year-old posting my Google shopping list on Facebook, like trying to find this thing. I know that it's there.
At least your Facebook statuses aren't like the things that you're trying to Google.
Well, Spencer, I know instead of using GPS on your phone or anything, you actually print out MapQuest directions, right?
Yeah, I don't want the government to find me.
Right, and it has the ads on the paper as well. Yeah.
I was gonna say that's more
Actually.
of our age group.
Hey, take it easy. Well, thank you, Drew. I will check it out. I'll put it on my Audible list for sure. Because like I said, I mean, I love Nick Hornby, and it's kind of like a colorful British comedy. And so, yeah, I was looking for new stuff. And if you're listening, if you're reading these books, we want to hear your reviews. So post it.
Okay, I think we have one more call here.
Cool.
Hey guys, it's Wade. Just wanted to say hi and to say to Spencer, I've read The Last Ronin, Ninja Turtles. It totally got me back into the Ninja Turtle comics and the realm of the Ninja Turtles. It's great. I recommend it to everybody. And Kenny, I still have a picture of you with Kate Beckinsale. I might be able to print it out for you and get it to you. Love the show, guys. Keep it up, and I will talk to you guys in another time. Peace out.
So I'd love to touch on that Ninja Turtles a little bit more, but
I want to talk about that Kate Beckinsale
well, that's
picture.
what I was going to say.
Yeah, I want to talk about it all.
I can't get the image of Kent Dunn with a Kate Beckinsale picture like 6 foot by 6 foot over his bed.
That's not a no.
Listen, I can just cut out the other bacon cell guys and just have it be she and myself.
Hey,
no, I'll talk about
Kent,
that first.
Don't cut anybody out of your life, okay? It's not worth it.
Yeah, okay. I do my best not to. So with the Kate picture, it was so funny because we went to, this was back when it was Comic-Con or FanX or whatever it was.
Even though Jacob's not on the show, you can still be his friend.
Yeah. Fine. So we got our pictures with Kate, and when you pay for a picture at one of these cons, you literally go, hey, how's it going? You get a picture, you do a pose, and they send you on your way. Like it is, don't even talk to them. I will say that Kate did talk to us because we gave her a t-shirt and we met her for an autograph before. And she said, oh, it's my posse. And we're like, we are your posse. And my voice cracked a lot. I peed a little. Anyways, we walked away and I was so giddy because I was inches away from Kate. And Wade was like the first person, right? Wade was like the first person I saw. He was waiting there at this table. And honestly, I think I gave him a big hug just because I needed to touch somebody.
You were just on cloud 9.
I really was. So yes, I send it my way, please. And then Spencer, I do want to hear about The Last Ronin. But I did hear, I don't know if you saw this, and we may have talked about this already, but
we did
they're
post it
developing a video game.
Yeah. I did
Yeah.
post this in the other group. They are developing a AAA
Mhm.
video game, so this is a mainline video game. Think more in the style of like the Arkham games of the
Or God
the
of
last
War or
one.
something like
God
that.
of War. And honestly, I've heard people say, "Well, I'd rather see this as an animated film or something like that." No, but Wade, let me know if you agree. But I think it would work. The story would work way better as a video game. Just so you can get into the action, you can dig into the background. And one of the plot devices of this book is you don't know which Ronin or which turtle is the last one standing, and you get them through flashbacks. So as a game mechanic, going back and playing through those flashbacks, I can't smiling because this sounds fun. You find out which turtles all die and when and how, until you eventually figure out, okay, by process of elimination, this turtle is the last one.
Yeah, Spencer, if you own that,
I could.
I would like to borrow it, and if not, I can go buy it. But it definitely piques my interest.
I will definitely drop that one off. I've got a few others like the Descender Ascender series I need to drop off to you as well.
Yeah.
And then
okay,
I need to get my copies of Invincible back for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do need to read the graphic novel for that.
I've got lots of comics for you to read.
Beauty. That might do it for calls.
Yeah, we'd love to get your phone calls, so make sure that you give us a call. The number is really easy to remember. It's 801-508-4989. So leave us a message.
Okay, so I need to talk about some pop culture because sometimes I do that, right?
You seem ranty.
Yep.
A little bit. And I want to get your thoughts.
There's a fire in his eyes.
There's a fire in my eyes. So first off, let's talk about remakes. Like, we're all a little tired of remakes. We're tired of even saying we're tired of it. And, Disney is the prime offender of this. We're at the point now where we have maybe 2 or more a year live action remakes of their animated classics or masterpieces. And so they just keep doing this. And we will see The Little Mermaid this summer. And everyone has kind of pre-hated this movie, I guess, because of what we've seen them do recently.
Like Pinocchio?
Being which was an abomination.
Yeah, don't even get me started on Geppetto. Tom Hanks.
Oh no, that was episode 2. And they've done this, and there's been one of these live action movies I've liked, but the majority of them, maybe a dozen of them, I think are absolute garbage.
You liked Emma Watson. You didn't like the film.
Oh, actually, don't like that movie. I like Lily James in Cinderella. That is the only one I've actually really liked. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I don't like Auto-Tune Watson. But so, like, Lion King, they remade that one, and it was still an animated movie because it was all CG, and that movie made $1.5 billion. Okay, and so, granted, Pinocchio bombed, and I'm kind of hoping that Little Mermaid has that trajectory, but once again, it may just be a spectacle that people want to see.
Is it Disney
Even
Plus? Is it Disney Plus?
No,
or is it
this will
theater?
be a theatrical one. Yes.
Yeah, people will see it.
Which is horrible because I think the movie is it doesn't look good. People will watch it and go, "Oh, okay, I'm going to forget about that," and still think fondly of the cartoon. That's how it's always going to go. So Disney just kind of needs news for their investors. And so 2 weeks ago, they said, "Hey, we're remaking Lilo and Stitch in live action," and they cast Lilo for the movie. And everyone's like, "Oh, okay."
Is it Jack Black?
It is Jack Black. No, that's Stitch. Could you imagine it's just Jack Black painted blue?
You know what?
Full beard. He's 55 years old.
I wouldn't be against it.
I would see that one. I would want to see that one.
Actually, Josh, let's collaborate and make that poster.
Yes, please.
We'll put it on a t-shirt.
Can we start the Twitter campaign?
Yeah. Lilo and that son of a Stitch. Anyways, I think this needs to happen. So, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, Lilo and Stitch. I kind of forgot about that cartoon." Okay, yeah, remake that one, I guess. And then, literally today, as of this airing, The Rock makes a video. And this isn't even like a trailer. This isn't a release date. This is The Rock saying, "Hey, guys, I know Black Adam kind of failed. I'm working with Disney now. And so they're going to remake Moana."
That came out in 2016.
Yeah, right? Moana, which kids are still watching and loving because it's a great movie.
I watched it this morning.
Yeah. And it's fresh, it's new, and it's kind of like, why bother? I mean, I saw a tweet today that said they're going to release movies in live action even before the cartoon comes out. And I'm like, actually, why don't they do that and have an original movie? You know?
Kent, two things.
Go on.
One, does that mean we're going to finally get the animated version of Escaped Witch Mountain? Because I'm down for that. And two, I think, and this is conspiracy theory Spencer here.
Okay, go on.
There's two things at play. The Rock has bad press. Disney has bad Ant-Man press / Jonathan Majors press. Some major issues.
Oh, mercy. Yep.
Pick whatever.
Do you think that they just kind of got together and like, let's announce this now, where we don't even have a director, we don't have a writer, we just need to get
That's
something
exactly
out.
it. They often can't even keep their directors that they announce, so why bother announcing them at this point? They just fired 7,000 people throughout Disney. And so they want to basically tell their investors, hey, but we've got projects that will make us money in 2 years. So what about that?
So Moana.
And that's precisely what they did.
Written, directed, and starring Dwayne Johnson.
Written by Dwayne Johnson. Honestly, I'd watch it.
He'll be playing Moana as well.
Yeah.
I mean, is it written if it's a word-for-word remake of a 2016 film?
Well, that's precisely what it will be.
I thought Disney was onto something back. I can't even remember when it came out, but with Maleficent.
A different take.
I thought having a different take, it's a live action. I thought I actually appreciated that angle. Why can't we do that with Moana? Why can't you tell a story about Maui,
for example,
and how he became Maui? Like, the Rock could play that in live action. I'd be fine with that. That'd be great.
I want to see Scar. How did he get his scar? And have it be something dumb, like he ran into a wall.
Right, like his name was Brian, and then when he ran into a wall, they're like, "Oh, you got a cool scar. That's my name now." Oh, that's going to be terrifying. Mufasa and Brian. Yeah, Brian's not getting the kingdom, that's for sure.
Good call on the name change.
But Josh, you're right. But like, this is something where, like, if you get a different take, I didn't love Maleficent. I didn't love Cruella, but at least you see something new, right? I had another rant, but we can save it. Let's jump right into a movie review. And Spencer, I know you've seen the same movie as I have. We're going to talk about Tetris.
Yeah.
And this one came out on Apple TV Plus. And this, not to theaters. This was Taron Egerton star. And it's called Tetris, right? And we're kind of in the realm where game movies are kind of the new genre. And I don't mean like just straight up video game movies. I just mean like movies around games. Or movies around even Dungeons and Dragons, for example. Like, that movie was really solid.
Oh.
Really solid. And Spencer, I don't know if we want to review that one too, considering you saw it over the weekend.
We could talk about that one too. The long story short on that one is we're in April, and that's one of the best movies I've seen this year.
The Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
And I didn't even regret saying
Truly.
that.
No, it's weird.
I would gladly go see D&D again.
Yeah, it is that kind of, it's really just kind of effortless. It's fun. It's not too deep dive for the general audience, honestly. And
so what's the premise behind it? Because I haven't really truly played Dungeons and Dragons at all. Is it kind of like a fantasy thing? Is it kind of, I guess, essentially like Stranger Things, or is it more of an approach of people playing the game? What is it about?
It is a story set within the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
So the premise of the film is the basic plot is you have a crew of thieves that have to steal back the treasure that they stole in order to prove themselves worthy. It's a D&D campaign.
Okay.
That was a really, really poor explanation.
no, but basically to summarize that, Josh, the movie plot is just, it's fun. It's this adventure story. It's kind of a gather the team sort of adventure to find something to stop the bad guy. And that's as simple as it needs to be, because the game doesn't have a story. The game has whatever story the dungeon master is going to tell. And that's the person that hosts the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no specific one adventure for the board game. And I say this having only played it once. It's something I've always wanted to do more. The movie instead is like, hey, for all you D&D fans, here's like a fun, lighthearted adventure. But for everyone else, here's something that won't confuse you or bore you.
Okay, that's
what it does so well.
Okay,
yes.
that was my next question. So basically, you don't have to be a Dungeons and Dragons
not at all
player at all
No,
or understand
no.
the rules.
It's extremely
Awesome.
approachable. What's really cool about this film is it's gets beyond generic fantasy by giving it the core values of what make D&D fun. That anything can happen at any moment. It's true to the source material, so like true fans of D&D, I've played quite a bit. I enjoy it a lot. You can see the tropes that are present in the game, and you can almost. I talked to my friend Jeremy after we were walking out, and I said, you can almost tell where the writers were sitting around and they rolled the dice to figure out what was going to happen next in the script. So there's going to be subtle winks and nods around that. But at the same time, unless you're a fan and you're into the deep lore of D&D, you're just in a fantasy setting where you can just jump right in.
Okay, that's awesome.
And it's Chris Pine, and he's super handsome, charismatic, great cast. Has the guy from Bridgerton that everyone likes.
Yeah, that's how you get all the ladies.
And the guy from Bridgerton plays what everybody thinks about him in real life. It's very tongue-in-cheek.
That gets a recommendation from me, but Spencer, I do want to know, going back to Tetris, how you felt about that. And I'll explain a little bit about Tetris for you, Josh. It's a game, and there are 4 blocks at any given time in any given shape, and you have to line them up in order to not reach the top. Other than that, you lose.
That sounds too complicated.
Stop that right now. So that's Tetris the game, but Tetris the movie is this story about the marketing and kind of the purchasing rights of Tetris, which is so interesting because there's a few movies like that coming out. And so it has this American guy named Hank, and he's played by Taron Egerton. And he basically thinks he bought the rights to Tetris, and he tries to sell them to Nintendo. And he's like, hey, put this with the Game Boy. I think this is going to be huge. I'm going to get out of debt. We're all going to make millions. This is going to be great. Meanwhile, the guy who wrote the game, the guy who created the game, is a Russian, did it in his spare time. And I don't know how true this is. I really have to look into the story because the movie it spins quite a tale. Like, it gets into the KGB and the Russian government. This is 1988, right before the fall of the Berlin Wall, right? This is right before the fall of USSR at this point.
Sure.
And so everything is about to go down, but communism still reigns supreme. It's very scary to be in Russia. And so it's all about, how do they market this game? How do they sell this game? Can they sell this game? Are they going to kill the Americans who try to steal the game from them? And so it's all about the behind the scenes action, which is weird, but of how to get this game onto a Game Boy. And it's so interesting.
Now, I did the typical dad thing here, Kent, and I dug into the actual history here between what was real and what was fictional. So everything to do with the contracts was real.
Okay.
It was all the action in between, the blackmail,
the car chases,
the espionage, the car chases. That was made up, but everything else, spot on.
Hollywood doesn't make up anything.
I'll say this about the film: I never thought I'd be that intrigued by Russian.
If you say it in a movie, and especially if you say it in a podcast, it's all true.
It's all true. It's fine. But Spencer, you're exactly right.
I think I sent you this kind of TLDR review when I finished reading it. This is a film that was made for dads that grew up sitting too close to the CRT TV, being told it would ruin their eyes while they blew into the Nintendo cartridges and played Zelda. Like, this is, it's a dad movie. And it sucked me right in. I never thought I'd be that enthralled by a contract.
And what it does is it'll often pixelate the images in the movie, the sound effects, sometimes even in the car chases. When the cars are crunching, it turns into an 8-bit car that crunches. And then you'll hear like a Nintendo soundbite.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of clever, but also a really cheap way to get out of showing that kind of damage. But hey, I'll take it. But it really is like an enthralling movie. But granted, like you said, Spencer, not exactly true. But what it does is it kind of goes, oh yeah, so that makes sense. Like, game development, the contract rights are somehow a little bit deeper than saying, hey, I'll pay you $25,000 for this, and then I'll resell it for a lot more. They made a very it is a very Apple Plus movie. I'll say that. It doesn't seem like it would be a theater release, but it's a very good streaming movie. If you can understand that standard.
Yeah, this is something that would never have been made to be released in theaters unless it was released in the pre-COVID times. This would have been released between Christmas and New Year's to make it just in time for Oscar season. It would have never gotten Oscar buzz, but it's the type of film that would have been released.
But it is somehow enjoyable.
Now, also this week that's coming out, the Super Mario Brothers movie. Are you reviewing that on Bacon Sale?
I'm not, because I'm going to Disneyland almost immediately, so I won't even be reviewing that. I'm going to be seeing it in California, actually.
Wow.
I know. So
I feel bad
Are you
for
gonna go
you, and I'm
Silky D?
jealous.
I honestly think it's going to be good.
Yeah, we should. I mean, it has Chris Pratt in it, and I'm sure he's going to be talking to Yoshi. I mean, he's still going to be talking to dinosaurs, so he's got that going for him.
If a dinosaur's in it, you're in.
Oh, yeah, especially if Chris Pratt is talking to it. So, yeah.
I'm jealous. I'll be in Disneyland, guys. Rude.
I know.
Rude.
I know.
I actually was gonna text you and be like, "Hey, Kent, you live like right by my work. Let's hit up the Centerville Theater and,
I know,
and
I'm so
catch us
sorry.
this week." But
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, you're gonna be in Disneyland. I'd give you some advice on things to do in Disneyland, but I've been 5 times in my life, and I can't even tell you the hot dog hand cart from the corn dog hand cart.
No,
So,
truly, we could have.
I'm
And
no
Josh,
expert.
Josh and I did this when he was on Bacon Cell, but I could have asked for advice, but it would have been the entire show. So basically, at this point, considering I'm leaving almost immediately, I will be giving a wrap up next week.
You know, and
So-
in vein of that wrap up, what I'd like to do is invite all of our listeners, because I know
Mhm.
like the Holmgrens know a ton, Jacob Shamby knows a ton. Dave is in Disneyland right now with Eric and a bunch of other guys. So call in with your Disneyland tips, your Disneyland
The
tricks,
food, all that stuff.
and let us know what we don't know. Yeah. Give us your reviews, your tips, your tricks.
Maybe we should just make next week a Disney-centric or a Disneyland-centric episode.
Deal.
We'll get the down low of your trip. We'll get the tips and the all of that from the listeners. Yeah, I love that idea.
Okay.
But I guess I should probably then give them the number to my voicemail, huh?
Okay, let's
You
do
probably
it.
should.
That would be 801-508-4989. So yeah, we want to hear your tips, your tricks, your secrets of Disneyland, and yeah, let's make next week Disneyland.
Okay. And look, I will be checking social media. And so while this show is released, if you want to put anything on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter,
Yeah.
I'll be checking up, because that's about the time I will be there. So, but until I report on it next week, Josh, how about you lead us out?
I would love to. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the other show. You know, we understand that there are a ton of podcasts out there to choose from. So the fact that you choose to lend us your ears means a lot. We want to connect with you guys, and whether that is through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you can follow the other show on any of those social media platforms, as well as us as well. Additionally, we want you to join our Facebook group, the other group. It's a fun little community that we hope that you will want to be a part of and participate in. So please make sure to join the other group. Now, we may be seasoned podcasters, but this is still a fairly new podcast. So please do us a solid by hitting the subscribe button on whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on, whether that's Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and even YouTube. Subscribing helps others find the other show much easier. Also, leave us a review. We have loved getting the feedback from everybody, especially this past week. So thank you. By leaving us a review, you help us grow this show. And we do read each and every one of them, even those irrelevant 1-star reviews. If leaving a written review isn't your thing, you can always call my voicemail at 801-508-4989 with that comment, that question, that complaint, or even suggestion. Again, that number is 801-508-4989. But when you're not here listening to us, remember you can listen to me on my other show, The Party in the Back.
You can hear me on my other show, Bacon Cell.
And you can hear me on my other show,